There are 3 teams on record as wanting Jimmy Butler this offseason: the Philadelphia 76ers, the Golden State Warriors, and a third mystery team that we can only guess at. But what about the Miami Heat? Well, Jimmy has made it known on July 7th, the first day they can, they better have a new max contract waiting for him to sign. And if they don't, he is taking calls. Philly looking for a third star to pair with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Steph Curry is either done basically in this new Western Conference, or they will take a wild swing like Jimmy Butler. But how real are these rumors, and who is the third mystery team? Well, everyone figured things were great in Miami until Pat Riley spoke with the media. The Heat just lost to Boston in 5 games without Jimmy, who tweaked his knee in the play-in. No big deal, it happens. Or does it?
That's a big decision on our part to commit those kinds of resources unless you have somebody who's really going to be there, available every single night. That's the truth.
I'm sorry, it doesn't sound like they can't wait to give him a new deal. It annoys the heck out of Pat Riley that his best player just takes some nights off. Literally, on the 3rd game of the season, Jimmy was out for rest. How does that work exactly? And he's just one of 9 players who improves in the playoffs for every stat. Playoff Jimmy is legit, which is kind of cool, but the Heat don't want to take any days off. Riley probably knows they're closer to a play-in team than the NBA Finals 2 years ago. Not saying it was a fluke, but just running it back with Jimmy Butler ain't gonna cut it. Then there's the personality. Remember 2 years ago when he and Eric Spoelstra got in a shouting match? Udonis Haslem told him he'd beat him up. Spo said, "Oh, you want to fight me?" That was weird, to say the least. But did you hear what Pat Riley said? Jimmy was in a backyard party when a guy asked about the playoffs. Jimmy said, if he played, the Celtics would be out, the Knicks would be out, clowned on Josh Hart. Then Riley responded.
For him to say that, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? If you're not on the court against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut.
Okay, so things are not great for Jimmy in Miami after all, but that doesn't mean he's gonna leave. I mean, look at the difference he makes on the court. It is undeniable. Before he got there, they missed the playoffs 2 of 3 years. Since then, 3 conference finals and 2 finals. So forget rest days or personality. Jimmy is absolutely worth it. So why would they let him go? Well, there are actually 2 legitimate reasons. Right now, the Heat owe just 2 players money summer of 2026. Tyler Hero and Jaime Jaquez. That's it. They definitely would extend Bam, but Jimmy would kill all this cap space. Right now, they could replace Jimmy with any star free agent, but not if you pay 37-year-old Jimmy $60 million. So who could they actually get that summer? Well, free agents include Jalen Brunson, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving, Lauri Markkanen, Jamal Murray, and others. But if they sign Jimmy, forget all of it. So if they let him go, what is plan B? Well, Heat fans would have to live with Bam, Hero, and a young cast. A 500 team at that point, just waiting for the next star. Miami is one of the few places stars want to go to, so maybe it's worth it. But where would Jimmy go next? Well, we've got to start with the Sixers. Reports say they are willing to give him that new max contract. Philly.com reported the Sixers realized they made a mistake by sending Butler to the Heat. There were conflicts at the time with Ben Simmons about who handles the ball, and they paid Tobias Harris a max instead. That was a mistake. They wanted to be able to control Jimmy, which really made him mad. We already know he's a great fit with Embiid from their season together, and Tyrese Maxey is a perfect complement in the backcourt. So how do they get him? Well, the first thing is to miss on Paul George. PG is their #1 target with $65 million in cap space. According to The Ringer, the Clippers are refusing to give Paul George more than they paid Kawhi. So LA's current number is about 3 years, $152 million that they gave to Kawhi. The Sixers could offer 4 years, $212 million. Pretty clear what he should do. But we'll see if the Clippers stick to that. So if they miss on PG, the other stars that they want are LeBron James, OG Anunoby, Brandon Ingram, and Zach LaVine in no particular order. I would guess LeBron is the only guy that they would actually pass Jimmy up for. But if they are able to say, okay, Jimmy's our guy, what happens next? Well, the Heat would have to change their mind because Pat Riley was asked if they would trade Jimmy, and he said, no, not right now. So it's possible. So Jimmy would have to make things uncomfortable in Miami like he's done before on the Timberwolves. Then boom, done deal. But there are two other teams in the mix. The first is the Golden State Warriors. They actually missed the playoffs with a healthy Steph, Clay, and Draymond after losing in the play-in to Sacramento. That is terrible. Steph, now 36 years old, and let's be honest, his teammates are unreliable. Clay for health and performance, Draymond for his attitude. So they have to make a big swing, but is Jimmy enough? Well, a huge Warriors reporter said, if Brandon Ingram hits the trade market, I would not expect the Warriors to show interest. But if the Heat shop Jimmy Butler, I would expect the Warriors to enter the conversation. Aha! But Jimmy is under contract 1 more year, so it would have to be a trade. Who has the better offer, Philly or Golden State? Well, the Sixers have $65 million in cap space, so the Heat could take nobody back and preserve that free agency we talked about. Miami also has 5 first-round picks to deal and multiple swaps. The Dubs, just 2 first-round picks and swaps and no cap space, so it'd have to be young players. Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, but they don't fit with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. So it's clear if the Sixers want Jimmy Butler, they could get him over the Warriors. But what about that third team? I would look at who this is as desperate non-contenders that are in win now mode. That includes the Lakers, the Bucks, the Suns, and the Pelicans. I would be shocked if the mystery third team isn't one of those. But what I think is happening right now is these stars are using Philly's cap space and all these rumors as leverage to get a new contract. Like Paul George clearly wants to stay in LA. He's from there. Playing in the Clippers' new arena will be awesome. Jimmy has openly said he wants to retire a Miami Heat. All they got to do, though, is get a real offer from Philly at a max deal to force their current team to pay way more than they want to. Again, July 7th is when we will know more on Jimmy Butler. If the Heat don't offer him that max deal that day, we could have one crazy offseason. But one former Heat player that might be on the move, is LeBron James. Now, dude says he is not going to leave the Lakers just to go play with Bronny. So instead, he is trying to get LA to draft his son, which is why Laker fans hate this man. But it's not the only reason.